let's look at U.S. sanctions on Russia. Do you think that would ignite a crude oil price rally across the board?
Well, every sensitive information can lead to a rally or can lead to prices going down. So once you begin to have those sort of conversations, even before it takes place, you can't see that rally. I mean, you're beginning to see 70, a little over 70. It had gone much lower than that.
Yeah, it was about 60-something dollars something last year.
So that can account for it. You know, once there's any dispute, the Gulf, Russia, any of those guys, then you will begin to see a price rally. Whether it would ever get to 80, 90 this year or even 2026, I very much doubt. Of course, unless OPEC and OPEC Plus then decide to substantially reduce outputs and people then do what they ought to do with respect to those outputs. Don't cheat. You will find things pretty much stable. I don't expect that prices will surge that much, and I don't expect that prices will drop substantially either. I expect a 60-something to early 70s throughout 2025 and 2026. But, you know, I'm not a prophet. Anything can go wrong. Something can happen. You never really know. Something just happens and just triggers because of the sensitivity of pricing and the crude.
If crude hits $90, for example, as at today, then we'll know that PMS will be selling for like...
yeah, prices, yeah, that's it. That's it.
There's an implication on both sides.
Exactly, there's an implication. People just think Alhaji Dangote is being magnanimous.
No, this is business.
But crude prices have dropped.
Yeah.
So it will be reflective. And that's what, when you leave something to the market, demand and supply, your cost of production, of course, you can't become more efficient and your cost of production then reduces. That said, if the base cost, which is the cost of crude, is high, unless government decides to give subsidy or something, it will be more expensive at the pump.
At the pump.
He's only refining a base product, which is crude. So if prices go down, then something must be happening around efficiency or some cost. That cost may include the cost of crude oil. If prices go up, then there may be a challenge with crude oil prices going up. So everything has its implications. We may be excited that we're generating more. If it becomes a $94, $100, but then at the pump, prices are going to go up.
Of course.
Yes, so that's it. So government will be able to do more around infrastructure, capital projects. However, you and I will pay more. Maybe we then use electric cars, EVs. You know? More of us. And you know,
CNG.
Yes, CNG too. I mean, much cheaper, you know, much cheaper. And for CNG, for EVs, there's import duty exemption. Many people are not even aware that you can get an import duty exemption. So when you bring your cyber trucks, they're not really as expensive as people think overall because you're not paying import duties. Apart from that 5% you'd have to pay the customs or the Ministry of Finance, you do not pay the full import duty. You only pay 5% of what you otherwise, what you would have saved. You'd pay 5% of what you save. Other than that, it's good. So I think that if we begin to have that mix, you know, more EVs, more CNG vehicles, maybe crude prices may not really matter to you and I that much. Safe that then if government makes more, government can then do more in terms of infrastructure and building. For me, I always think it's government's responsibility to build the infrastructure backbone. The private sector is supposed to key in and expand, but that backbone is government, and government does require funding, and this needs to be done consistently. Part of the reasons we have challenges in the power sector, for example, and the grid continues to collapse is because several years of neglect. If you need to spend $10 billion every year for 20 years...
And it's been abandoned for maybe 10 years?
Yes, you're not going to have to... You won't then be spending $10 billion anymore. You're going to be spending multiples of that. If you cannot afford it, then your problem is not going to be solved. So if we generate more, it then means government can do more around social investment, infrastructure, social safety nets. I always say the poorest people in the Western world will be as miserable as the poorest people in this part of the world, say for cheap credits, excellent infrastructure, and social safety nets. If you took those three off, they'll be as poor and as miserable as everyone else. But they have cheap credits, they have great infrastructure and social safety nets. That if you're very poor, there's some amount you get monthly or some benefit that cushions the effect of that poverty. So if we generate more and it's properly utilized, then things would generally look up, regardless of what it is at the pump, because it then means that you got other options such as EV vehicles, electric vehicles.